Hi, everyone. This is Charles Hoskinson, broadcasting impromptu and live from warm, sunny Colorado. Still doing some construction, still trying to get everything sorted in the office. So I'm right now on the outside of the office and kind of the office area. And I have the water fountain and the nice eagle that certain somebody sent me. And this is a video I didn't expect to make. I've been in cryptocurrency space a really long time, over 8 years. And actually, since I joined, I remember the old days with Tony Lane Casserly and the rest of the gang. And one of the earliest publications in our space that I can remember is Cointelegraph. And I think it's changed hands a few times. And it's always been the hot, perhaps more serious articles. And Cointelegraph would kind of be like the pulse of the day, where things just keep coming out. And some cases, perhaps they didn't have the highest of journalistic standards or integrity, but they were always there. They're always a mainstay in the space. And because of their legacy, we would always just talk to their journalists from time to time. The last time I spoke with a journalist in person from Cointelegraph was quite cordial. I did an interview in, I believe, Davos in January of 2020. Now I've had some over the Skype or Zoom or Hangouts interviews with people like Michael Kapelkov and others, and I believe I did some interviews with Rachel Wolfson. Now I'm friends with Rachel. We're even Facebook friends, and we've have a very cordial relationship. And the time I spent in Davos with the two Cointelegraph gals was quite nice as well. So anyway, an article came out today about the top 100 people in 2021. And, these are vanity lists. Who the hell cares about them? But I was just kind of floored that in the first two paragraphs, I was mentioned twice by name, saying I've been purposely excluded. And it was just bizarre. I said, why would you do that? So I tweeted at him. I said, guys, what are you doing? And then the managing editor tweeted back and apparently says I'm a thin-skinned millionaire. And accuses me of yelling at his reporters in a crowded hallway. That never happened. It's a lie. First off, it's COVID. There are no crowded hallways. If you find one, there's other problems. You should probably call the quarantine police because we don't have those. Second, the only time I've been with you reporters in the last year and a half was at Davos. There was no yelling. Everything was cordial. You guys published my interview. You've asked me since that time, multiple interviews, even asked me to write an editorial. So if there was a conduct issue, why did you ask me to write an editorial? Why did you interview me? Why have you written articles about our company? Never once did you reach out to any of my people about this. So I'm not exactly sure where this allegation comes from, but to come from the managing editor of the publication, it's more than a troll over Twitter. The reality is Cointelegraph has a readership. And, I have to now make a video to respond to this allegation. Second, I don't understand why the personal distaste for a person should influence the editorial discretion of a publication. Cardano is certainly a larger ecosystem than Charles Hoskinson. It has hundreds of thousands of people in it. It has multiple corporations in it, many projects in it. So is now Ben Gortzel a bad guy, or Stephen Wolfram because they happen to be associated with me, even though they run completely independent projects and companies? So is this the new standard at Cointelegraph that you have to be in the in crowd? And I've heard a lot of troubling things throughout the last 6 months in particular. For example, I think they've blacklisted Nick Szabo, and they can't mention him and they won't interview him because they don't agree with his political views. And there's other things I've heard as well, and I've ignored them because it's frankly been the gossip of the day, and Cointelegraph has always been kind of a wishy-washy thing. But I don't appreciate being accused of yelling at journalists. I take my job very seriously, and I take my relationship with journalists very seriously. Yeah, every now and then I will correct the record. If I do a 2-hour interview with a journalist and then they say things like, they published an article when we were talking about zero-knowledge cryptography and multi-party computation and like the future of crypto, they published a Charles versus Vitalik article. I don't appreciate being used for a sensational clickbait article. I say, look, I'm happy to have a fair conversation. I've given probably more interviews than any other person in this space at this point. Hundreds of them. Most of them are recorded and most of them go live. And in fact, when we interview with a journalist and it's a written article, Usually we take a recording and give it to the journalist because I speak really quickly and I use a lot of technical terms. And because I do that, a lot gets lost unless they have a transcription. And it's usually easier for everybody. It's never been the case that I've had a fighting or adversarial interview with anyone from Cointelegraph the entire time I've been interviewed by this publication. If that is the case, then I would love facts, a location, a date, a time. There's certainly be cases where I saw something published and I disagreed with the publication. And I said, hang on a second here. I was interviewed about A and you wrote something about B. Come on, that's a bait and switch. Stop it. And here's how I reply to it. I tweet and I will point out a tweet and say, and you know what? It's okay. Better luck next time. We'll go back. And I'm sure that my media director, Rod Alexander, has had some choice words to say. But me personally, I don't do that. I just stick to the facts and I just talk. And I've done now almost 54, 55 AMAs. I lost count. I think you guys are. And as I mentioned, hundreds of interviews. There are probably over 1,000 hours of me on YouTube where I go into exhaustive detail about things, in some cases too much detail, bore people to death. And you've seen me pissed at trolls. You've seen me calm and loquacious. You've seen me tired. You've seen me well-traveled, and you've seen me, in every situation one can imagine. So there's nothing to hide there. The kimono is completely open. And I just can't believe a managing editor of a major publication in our space would say something like this. It's, again, not true. And it just makes me deeply sad because that's the state of journalism, I suppose, in the cryptocurrency space. And so this is a call for journalism to be better. And this is a call for people to be more understanding and honest. And if there are grievances, to certainly come to me and resolve them. If I've said or done something that you didn't like and you run a journalistic publication, you run some paper or something, then come talk to me. Well, duke it out. Have an angry phone call with me. Then let's do that, because that's how human beings treat each other. Don't passively aggressively sit and snarkily say things in articles, leaving people off lists for whatever reason. And then when you get called out on it, then make stuff up over Twitter. It's beneath you. It's beneath your publication. It's beneath the industry. And frankly, if we ever do want to go mainstream, we have to be better and we have to move beyond all these things. Or we can just be the TMZs and the gossip mongers. And then you have to ask yourself, why would anybody want to pay any attention to any of that? This is why I have a podcast. This is why I do AMAs. This is why I talk to you, the YouTubers. This is why I engage directly with people over social media. As blunted and imperfect and at times frustrating or perhaps raw as it can be, it also gives you an unfiltered version of reality, not reality as presented by biased journalists or managing editors who clearly have vendettas or grudges, but you get to basically see the good, the bad, and the ugly and take things as they are. The reality is people are nuanced. We all are. You are. I am. And we say stuff, sometimes stupid stuff, sometimes smart stuff. Now, I've said a fair share of stupid things, and I'm lucky or unlucky that most of the things I say now end up somewhere in the public domain. Imagine your lives if that's the case. And I'm willing to own all of those things. I'll be the first to admit that it was probably a bad idea to post that "Do you know who I am" tweet way back in the day when I was sick in Vietnam and a little tired and frustrated. I explained the context behind it. Some people care, some people don't. And I'd be the first to admit that there's been more than one occasion where I've made a poor impression on somebody and they just are absolutely convinced I'm a horrible human being. I'm also the first to admit that we've done some good things and said some inspirational things, so much so that I've been able to build a multi-100,000 person, perhaps million person ecosystem. Regardless of what's said, I wake up every single day and I understand the mantle I have and the trust and faith that you, my community, has in me and my organization's ability to deliver. And we never forget about that. And we fight hard every single day to make sure that we gain a little bit of ground and we keep moving forward. And that could be new exchange listings. We try them all. That could be hard forks coming soon. Like, for example, the Mary hard fork, I believe tentatively scheduled for February 22nd. There could be new ways of doing smart contracts, new partnerships. It could be bringing new people into the cryptocurrency space. I'll try it all. If Soulja Boy says he wants to do something, I'll be the first to tweet, say, let's try it. And I'll extend the same courtesy to Willie Nelson if he ever wanted to. Okay. And the reason being is that I want everybody to be in our ecosystem, because I honestly believe that this ecosystem has the greatest potential for change of the human race, of anything technology that I'll ever be able to play around with in my lifetime. And every now and then we get to do some really cool stuff. Like I recently bought a Hypnocube, and it's this beautiful little 4x4x4 grid of LEDs. And I said, wow, that's so cool. So I reached out to the guys who created it. And I said, and it turns out that actually they're PhDs in math. One of them has an algebraic number theory PhD. And he said, oh, yeah, I got so tired of doing math. I just want to do more creative, interesting things. I said, so you make light cubes? Like, yeah. So it pays better. I said, yeah, you are a mathematician. So I said, let's do something custom for the office, and maybe we can connect it to the Cardano blockchain. So I don't know. I love the people, and I love all of you, and I love the dialogue, and I love the craziness, and I've always enjoyed the extreme personalities that our space in particular tends to attract. You get everything from hardcore communists to crypto anarchistic libertarians. You get homesteaders and seasetters. You get preppers, doomsday survivalists. You get politicians. You get hardcore capitalists. You get Fortune 500 CEOs. You get everything here. It's always been fun. But the one rule that we all ought to have is that we must treat each other with dignity and empathy and some modicum of respect. The reality is we're not here to get at each other or win some score or have giant egos. I'd like to believe that we're here because each and every one of us likes being part of a movement that we believe can change the way that the world works. And we're pretty tired every day of hearing negative news, all the bad things that have happened. How many people have died? This thing doesn't work. This person's corrupt. This. It's exhausting. And we'd rather hear positive news. We'd rather say, yes, we can do something. We can change things. Instead of we're helpless, controlled, and dominated. Shut up, get in the corner, and accept your fate. It's never how I've wanted to live my life. And I don't think it's how you guys want to live your lives either. And I hope that maybe our media in our industry could be a little bit better than the legacy industry. Maybe you can do that and resist the temptation to be bitter and petty or maximalist or believe things about people that you've never interacted with or met, or you've heard rumors about third hand. Okay? That's all I can ask. So I suspect negative articles are coming from Cointelegraph. The cat is out of the bag. Managing editor is the guy at the top and the one who decides the go, no go on things. And so, of course, I have to make a video now explaining why these negative articles are probably going to become so frequent. And also to say I take great umbrage to saying I've verbally assaulted your journalists. Put up or shut up. Tell the time and location and get them to sign an affidavit about it. Or else don't say it because it didn't happen. It's okay to dislike me. It's okay to say I got a funny face. I'm overweight. My coat's not right. 4chan has a heyday about it. If you had my web scraper, you'd read what people say about me every day. It's not pretty. In every angle I could be insulted, they do it all the time. Go ahead and join them. That's fun. But please don't say things that aren't true. And please don't attack my people and my company. And please don't attack my ecosystem or blacklist it because you have personal disagreements. That's just beneath you. It's beneath your publication. And it just shows people who you are. It says nothing about me. So thank you all for listening. I appreciate it. I'm going to go home and get some pasta. Good night.